Hello and welcome to Nithrania Game Club. My name is Barrage and you're watching Game in a Nutshell, the series of videos designed to teach how to play various board games. Today we're going to learn the game called Barrage from Tommaso Battista and Simone Luciani. Published by Nithrania Creations, this game is a very heavy, complex Euro game, and that's why some of the rules have a basic variant and the advanced variant. We will cover both in this video, and they will be distinguished or marked with these two icons. So, without further ado, let's go! To set up the game, place the game board in the middle of the table. Then place the management board next to the game board, and then place this energy track nearby as well. Take these headstream tiles, shuffle them, and randomly place 4 of them face up in these designated spaces on the game board. For the advanced game, shuffle all these 6 bonus tiles and place them randomly on this energy track. Do not place any bonus tile on this spot. Then put the remaining tile back into the box. For the basic variant, remove this bonus tile from the game completely and place the remaining 5 bonus tiles on the energy track in a random order. Then shuffle these 6 objective tiles and randomly place 1 of them in this designated space at the end of the energy track. These tiles are the national contract. Shuffle them and randomly draw 1 in a 2-player game, 2 tiles in a 3-player game, and 3 tiles in a 4-player game. You can put the remaining tiles back into the box. Then sort these private contract tiles by the color on their back, place them in the corresponding spaces on the management board, and reveal the top 2 tiles from each pile face up. Divide these neutral dam setup tiles by their back, randomly draw 1 tile from each pile, and then place the neutral dams to the corresponding sections. So there is a level 1 dam in the rightmost stream in the mountains section, so the neutral dam goes here, and as indicated with this blue drop with the number 1, place 1 drop of water into the same basin. Then there is a level 2 dam in the rightmost stream in the hills section, so you need to place 2 structures to this spot, and again 1 drop of water. And finally there is a level 3 dam in the middle stream in the plains section. So we have the base, 1 elevation and the 2nd elevation, and again 1 drop of water. If you play the basic game, leave this patent office in the box. In the advanced game, place it next to the game board, sort these advanced technology tiles by the number of their back, and shuffle each pile. Then take the first 3 tiles from this first pile with the number 1 and put them in these 3 designated action spaces. For the advanced game, create the random combinations of the company boards and executive officers. Create as many combinations as there are players in the game. In addition, shuffle these starting contract tiles and again randomly deal face up as many tiles as there are players in the game. Randomly determine the starting player order, and then the player who is in the last position will be the first one to choose one of the combinations of the company board and the executive officers. After making a choice, that player also has to choose one of these available starting contracts. Then the next player in this reverse player order has to make his choice, selecting one of the available combinations of the company board and the executive officer, and also one of the available starting contracts. And finally, the first player in the player order takes the final remaining combination together with the final starting contract tile. For the basic game or an introductory game, after randomly determining the starting player order, distribute the company boards, executive officers and the starting contracts as indicated in the rulebook. When all players get their company boards and the executive officers, each player will place all the structures on the company board. He would take 12 engineers, 6 coins, 6 excavators and 4 concrete mixers. The game also comes with these larger tokens, and this one counts for 3 excavators, and this one counts for 3 concrete mixers. In addition, this largest one counts for 5 excavators, and this large one counts for 5 concrete mixers. And finally, each player will take 5 technology tiles of his color, but when you play the advanced game, return this wild tile back into the box. It will not be needed. Then place all the victory markers on the number 10 on the victory point track and the energy markers on the starting point of the energy track. And finally, if you don't play with the full player count, you have to disable some of the action spaces based on the number of players in the game. If you play the 3-player game, use the engineers of the color which is not in the game and cover all action spaces indicated with this number 4. You have to cover all the action spaces on both the left side and the right side of all actions. If you would play a 2-player game, cover up all the action spaces with this 3+ symbol as well. Barrage is a worker placement game, which means players use their engineers as workers to place them into various action spaces to take the corresponding actions. They would try to fulfill these contracts by producing energy. The object of the game is to score the most victory points, and the main source of these victory points is the energy production. For that, players would need these water drops. They can either use the water drops in these neutral dams, or they can build their own dams. Then they need their own powerhouses, and also the conduits which connect dams with the powerhouses. In addition to producing energy, players can score victory points by building various structures in the game. The player with the most points is the winner. The game of Barrage is played over 5 rounds, and each round has 5 phases. The first phase, the income and headstream phase, is some sort of an upkeep phase. Players would collect income from their company boards, and more water drops will be added to these headstream tiles. The second phase is called the action phase, and it's the main phase of the game. In this phase, players have to make all the decisions and take actions on the management boards. So this is the game phase, and everything important happens during this phase. Then there is a water flow phase, in which all the water drops from the headstream tiles starts flowing downwards. So it's another game maintenance phase. After that, we have the scoring phase and an end of round phase, which is another game maintenance and cleanup phase. Now we'll cover all the phases in more detail. Income is represented by these exclamation symbols on the company board, and that means you have to build some structures to get some income. In the first round of the game, you obviously get nothing, but later in the second, third, fourth and a fifth round of the game, if you have any of these slots uncovered, you would get all these depicted incomes at the start of each round. Then add water drops to these headstream tiles according to the numbers indicated on each tile. That means for this headstream tile, there will be no water drop added in the first round. This headstream tile will get 2 water drops in the first round. This tile will have 0 water drops, and this one will receive 1 water drop. For the second, third and fourth round, look at the numbers in the corresponding sections. There are no water drops added in the fifth round. In the action phase, players take turns following this turn order. On your turn, you must take 1 action. That means you have to take some of the engineers from your company board and place them on 1 free action space. These are actions, and most of these actions have 2 action spaces. Action spaces may require 1 engineer, or 2 engineers, or maximum 3 engineers. In addition, if you place your engineers into these action spaces with the red outline, you also have to pay 3 credits from your own personal reserve to take the selected action. If you would want to take an action but you wouldn't have enough engineers in your supply, you cannot take such action. And you cannot place the engineers in an action space without actually taking that action. If you have no engineers in your supply, you have to pass. Other players may still take actions if they have any engineers available. When all players pass, the actions phase is over. These 4 action spaces are the construction actions. Because they are on a company board, they are private and only this player can use the action spaces on his own board. And because they are construction actions, they allow you to construct various buildings. There are 4 types of buildings in this game: bases, elevations, conduits and powerhouses. Bases are used to create dams which hold water required for the energy production. Elevations are used to increase the height of the dams and to increase the amount of water they can hold. Elevations are always built on top of the bases, and each base can have maximum 2 elevations. Powerhouses generate energy. However, to generate energy, they need water from dams. And so you need conduits that would connect these dams with your powerhouses. To take the construction action, you would need 1 engineer for your first construction action of the round, 2 engineers for your second action of the round, and so on and so forth. In addition to engineers, you will also need machineries, and you will also need these technology tiles. So first, you need to choose the structure, and let's say we want to build this base. Take the required number of engineers and activate the action space. Then, because we want to build the base, we need the technology tile with the same symbol, which is this symbol. Or, if you play the basic game, you can use this wild tile, which can act as any other tile. Then take this technology tile and place it into the open segment of your construction wheel. Then take the required machineries and also place them into the same open segment on your construction wheel. We'll cover the cost of construction in a minute. Then rotate the construction wheel by 1 segment, and finally place the building on the game board. Similar to action spaces, if you would place the building on these kind of spots, you would have to pay additional 3 credits. However, that doesn't apply for elevations, because when you build an elevation, the base is already there, and so you're not required to pay those 3 credits. Now, in order to build another structure of the same type, you would have to wait until the wheel makes the full turn and you get the technology tile back. Or, in the base game, you can use the wild tile, or if you play the advanced game, you might have the advanced technology tile with the same structure symbol. If you don't have any of these, you simply have to wait. When the wheel makes the full turn, you also get these machineries back. Now we will cover the costs for each building. To build the bases, you need 5 excavators if you build the base in the mountain section, which is this section of the game board. You would need 4 excavators if you build the base in the hills section, which is the brown section which starts here and ends here. And you need 3 excavators if you build it in the plains section, which starts right below these dams and includes these powerhouses, and continues to the bottom of the game board and includes these powerhouses as well. These water areas are called basins, and each player can have maximum 1 dam in each basin. That means that if you already have a dam of your color over here, you cannot build the second one. However, you can build a base of your color in a basin which includes the neutral dam. When you build elevations, you need 4 concrete mixers if you build it in the mountain section, 3 if you build it in a hills section, and 2 if you build it in a plains section. You can only build elevations on top of your bases. And as I said already, there is a limit of 2 elevations on top of 1 base. Don't forget, even if you had to pay 3 credits to build the base, when you build the elevation on top of this base, you don't have to pay those 3 credits again. When you build conduits, you can only build them in these designated circular spaces. There is a small icon with a number next to each place, and that's the conduit production value. To build the conduit, you need to pay 2 excavators per each conduit value. So, if I would decide to build this conduit in this spot, with the value 2, I would need 4 excavators. However, if I would decide to build it here, production value is 4, that means I would need 8 excavators. To build the first powerhouse, you need 2 concrete mixers. To build the second one, you would need 3 concrete mixers, and so on and so forth. Similar to bases, you can have maximum 1 powerhouse in each basin. Including these 2 spots, they are also considered to be separate basins, and so each player can have maximum 1 powerhouse in these spaces. Now we will cover the actions on this management board, and these actions are public actions. That means they're available to all players. Keep in mind that each action has 2 separate action spaces. It may easily happen that one player would occupy both action spaces of the same action. We'll start with this turbine station. Anytime you activate an action space with this icon, you produce energy. To do that, you must have a powerhouse of your color on the game board. Then you must have at least one water drop held by either neutral dams or the dams of your color. And then there must be a conduit which connects the dam with the water through these pipes to your powerhouse. The conduit can belong to any player, it doesn't have to be yours. To produce energy, take as many drops as you want from one dam and move them to your powerhouse. You can only choose one dam, you cannot combine dams together. Then for each water drop, you produce energy equal to the conduit value. So for each water drop, I would produce 4 energy, and that's 8 energy in total. Then add bonuses from your company board if you have any, and also bonuses or penalties from the management board. So in this example, I would add 2 more energy. So it's 4, 8 plus 3 bonuses, that's 11 energy in total. If you use a conduit of another player, you have to pay. For each water drop, you need to pay the owner of that conduit 1 credit from your own personal supply. And in addition, that player would also score 1 victory point for each drop. These are immediately marked on a scoring track. Then the water flows further down the river. Each dam can hold as many water drops as is the level of the dam. So this neutral dam can hold up to 2 water drops, these can hold up to 3, but this can only hold 1 drop. So when these drops continue further down the river, this dam can only hold 1 of them. The other one overflows, which means it simply continues further down, and because the powerhouses don't stop the water, this water drop reaches the bottom and is lost. If you would produce energy, let's say you would use this water drop, and using this conduit to this powerhouse, you would produce 2 energy, and after applying all the bonuses or penalties, the total would be less than 1, so 0 or even a negative number. You would not be able to perform the action. After producing energy, move your marker on the energy track number of spaces equal to the amount of energy you have produced, including all the bonuses and penalties, and you can and you should fulfill a contract. To do that, you need to produce the amount of energy depicted on the contract tile, and you have to do it within 1 action. You cannot combine 2 production actions to fulfill 1 contract, and similarly, you cannot fulfill 2 contracts with 1 action. It's always 1 contract per 1 action. If you produce enough energy, you can even fulfill one of these national contracts. When you fulfill a contract, immediately take the benefits depicted, so in this case, 2 credits and a machinery of your choice, and flip the tile face down to mark that it has been completed. To fulfill the national contract, you have to produce the energy depicted on the tile within 1 production action, take the depicted benefits immediately, and then place the national contract tile face down next to your company board. As already noted, you should fulfill a contract every time you produce energy. All the players start the game with the 1 starting contract, which is the one with the white background. However, in the contract office, you can gain more contracts. You can only buy these contracts which are face up. These national contracts are not for sale. When you take any of these 2 actions, you can take one of these face up contracts, any one you want, and place it face up next to your company board. If you take this bottom action, you have to pay 1 credit from your own personal supply, and then you can gain any 2 face up contract tiles. Again, take those tiles and place them face up next to your company board. At any time during the game, you can have maximum 3 face up contracts. If you gain any more contracts later in the game, you have to discard any one of those tiles to get down to 3 face up tiles. Remember, these face down contracts are the completed contracts, and they don't count towards these 3 face up tiles limit. When you're done buying, at the end of your action, refill the empty spaces. Water management actions allow you to add more water drops to the headstream tiles. If you take this action, you can add 2 water drops to any headstream tile. If you want, you can even split them. If you take the second action, notice that the water drop has a small arrow. That means that when you add the water drop to any of these headstream tiles, the water drop would actually start flowing immediately. Following the standard rules, it would overflow here and stop at this dam. Workshop actions allow you to rotate the construction wheel. When you take the first action, you can rotate the wheel by 1 segment. When you take the second action, you have to pay 2 credits to rotate the wheel by 2 segments. You have to pay the credits from your own personal supply, and then you can rotate the wheel by 2 segments. Similarly, the last action allows you to pay 5 credits and rotate the wheel by 3 segments. When you rotate the wheel, and let's say you take this action and rotate it by 2 segments, after paying those 2 credits, the wheel would rotate 1 segment and release this technology tile together with these machineries. Return the machinery back to your personal supply, and the technology tile is again available. After rotating the wheel for the second time, you would again release another technology tile and also the machinery. Again, put it back into your personal supply. In the machinery shop, well, you can buy machineries. When you take the first action, you can pay 2 credits from your personal supply and buy 1 excavator. Take the excavator from the general supply and add it to your own personal supply. When you take the second action, for 4 credits you can either buy 1 excavator or 1 concrete mixer. And when you take the last action, you can pay 5 credits and to buy 1 excavator and 1 concrete mixer. When you play the advanced game, you can buy advanced technology tile in the patent office. All 3 actions are actually the same. When you take the action, you have to pay 5 credits and then you can take the advanced technology tile. Place that tile next to your company board and it's available to you immediately. However, do not refill the empty space yet, it will only happen at the end of the round. The bank is the only action space in the game which can hold unlimited number of engineers. When you need credits or when you have no other use for your remaining engineers, you can place them in the bank, and for each engineer you would get 1 credit, so for 2 engineers you would get 2 credits. Take the credits from the general supply and add them to your personal supply. With the bank action space, we have covered all the action spaces in the game. And with that, the entire action phase. In the water flow phase, all the water drops from all the headstreams start to flow down one at a time. The water naturally flows down from the mountains through the hills, and it only stops when it reaches a dam. Each level of the dam can hold 1 water drop, so the 3-level dam can hold up to 3 water drops. So when these 2 water drops would start flowing down, they would both stop at this level 3 dam. However, in this rightmost stream we have a different situation. When the water drop starts flowing, it comes to the first dam, but the first dam already has a water drop, so it is already at a full capacity. So the water drop would overflow and continue down to the next dam, which is a level 2 dam. There, the water drop would stop and the level 2 dam would reach its full capacity. Now, the last water drop would obviously overflow the first dam. It would also overflow the second dam because it's a level 2 dam with the 2 water drops at full capacity. It would continue downwards and it would reach this green dam. However, that dam is also at a full capacity because it can hold just 1 drop, so it would overflow as well and reach the bottom of the game board. It would be lost and return to the general supply. In the scoring phase, first, the player who produced the most energy during this round would score 6 victory points. The second player would score 2 victory points. However, to score these victory points, the player has to produce at least 1 energy. So in case that none of these players would produce any energy this round, the white player would be awarded 6 points, but no other player would score any victory points. Then the players would gain credits according to their position on this energy track. White player would gain 5 credits. This player would gain 4 credits. And these 2 players would gain 3 credits. If any of the players would be at the 0 position of the energy track, they would still gain 3 credits but lose 3 victory points. That's the reason why all the players start the game with the 10 victory points. And then these bonus tiles will be scored. In the first round this tile will be scored, in a second round this one, and so on and so forth. So in the first round, if the players would score at least 6 energy, they would be eligible for scoring this bonus tile. So both of these players would score 4 victory points for each base they have built so far in the game. Players who would produce less than 6 energy would score nothing. After that, remove the bonus tile from the game. In the second round and all other subsequent rounds, again, all the players who would produce at least 6 energy would be eligible for scoring this bonus tile. However, only those players who have reached this segment, which means they have produced at least this amount of energy, would gain the full reward. Players who are in this previous section would receive this 4 points penalty to their bonus, and the players who have not even produced 6 energy would score nothing. Now, it may happen that these players may actually score the negative number of bonus points. In such a case, they would never lose the victory points. One more example, in the third round, all the players who would produce at least 6 energy would be able to score this tile. However, this player would have to subtract 4 points from his bonus, and this player would actually have to subtract 8 points from his bonus. Black player would score nothing. At the end of the round, first update the player order. The player who produced the most energy would go to the last position, then the next player, and in case there are 2 players in the same position, they would actually switch their current position. Then move all the energy track markers back to the 0 space. Then take all your engineers from all the action spaces and put them back into your personal supply. Discard all the advanced technology tiles from the patent office and then draw 3 new ones. First, keep drawing from the first pile, and when the first pile is empty, draw the tiles from the next pile. When you finish the scoring phase of the final 5th round, the game ends immediately. Award the victory points for the objective tile, and score the victory points from the leftover resources in your personal supply. Count the number of credits, excavators and the concrete mixers altogether, and for each 5 resources gain 1 point. Do not count the resources which are still on the construction wheel. Finally, add 1 victory point for each water drop held by your dams. Whoever has the most total points is the winner. And that's how you play Barrage. If you would have any questions or comments, please put them into the comment sections below. I'll be really happy to answer your questions. If you like the show, please subscribe. My name is Barrage. You've been watching Game in a Nutshell, and hope to see you next time.